What's up, folks, fans, sports fans of all ages, of all kinds? This is your man, Cam. I got my man, Cleavon, and we make up Voice of the Fans. This is the first time we going live for you guys, so this is a historic moment. March 24, 2021, Cleavon. We finally live, baby. How you feel?
Oh, I feel fantastic. Feel great to be a part of this historic event.
Boy, this is awesome, man. This is awesome. Something we've been working on for, man, a lot of years, buddy, a lot of years. So we got some fine tuning to do. So next week, man, I'm gonna need you to get the haircut. I'm gonna need you to put a little makeup on and be ready for the show. Okay.
I'll take care of it. I'll be ready.
All right. I want to open up the show, fans, because each and every we got a rundown. Let me give you the rundown of what we do. All right. Each and every week, we talk about our numbers. We give you some historical facts in what's going on in America, what's happened back in the years ago. This day in history, we call it. We're going to talk about the NFL free agency, the NBA trade deadline. We got NBA season. This is week 10, I think it is, week 10 or 12. So every week we got these same topics that we're going to regurgitate to you guys, but it's all filled with different type of banner about current topics within the world of sports. And this is what we call Voice of the Fans. So you got something you want to say to us, you can hit me on Twitter. What's good in sport on Twitter? You can hit my man Cleavon up on Twitter. What's your Twitter handle, Cleavon?
They can find me, Cam, at Cleavy Wonder.
Voice of the Fans, Voice of Fans on Instagram, and you're watching Voice of the Fans on YouTube. So thank you guys for checking it out. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you leave a comment. Let us know what you want to hear. Let us know what topics you want us to cover. But we got things covered. You see Cleavon's up there in the state of Washington. I'm down here in the Southern California market. We can hit East Coast. We can hit West Coast. We can hit the flyover states. We got it all covered, though, for you. You let us know what you want to cover because we're going to give you a lot of NBA, a lot of NFL, some Major League Baseball, some boxing topics. We're going to give you a lot of all this, but I want to know what you guys want to hear. Cleavon, give them your Instagram.
At Cleavon Seal on Instagram as well.
Okay. So, folks, as I stated, I'm joined by my man, Young Sam. We make up Voice of the Fans. I want to give a shout out to everybody listening to us who's been a part of this podcast since the day we were on Blog Talk Radio. Now we on iHeart Radio, Spotify, tuned in. You can hear this show week to week to week. We got segments and episodes of podcasts. This is week 131 of this iteration of the Voice of the Fans podcast. So again, you can hear us on any of the podcast platforms that you're familiar with. And this is our first time on YouTube, so bear with us. But I got something I want you guys to hear, Cleavon. Sound quality ain't the best right now, but it's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. Tell me if you recognize this.
I know the whole city right. A little early, it's a bit surprising. Business moves, now we enterprising. Switch it up, now we improvising. Go to get in the winter college. Whole squad been trained to go. Been for life, we throw the folk. Singing this just to welcome bro.
Not ringing in the bell, Cam. Not ringing the bell. It must be just for some certain demographic that's not really relevant right now, so I can think.
I'll tell you what it is. It's two a time. It's two a time.
Oh, it's two a time. Oh,
it's two a time. It's two a time, fellas. It's two a time, fellas. So I got something to get straight with Mr. Cleavon right now. He's been playing with my guys all off season right now, and I'm telling you, it's two a time. You know, we had some things happening in the off season. My guy was benched a couple times because he had to get his thumb right. He had to get his head right. So Flores put him on the bench a couple times, but Fitz is gone. Fitz is in DC. Okay, so now all the marbles is on Tua Tagovailoa. Okay, we flirted around with Deshaun Watson, but we see Deshaun been doing a lot of flirting with a lot of people right now, and that flirting that might get him on Roger Goodell's exempt list. You know what happens then. We don't see you for a year or two, so we can't talk about Deshaun Watson no more. It's tour time down in South Florida. It's tour time. Cleavon, are you ready for tour time?
Cam, I have been trying to get you ready for Tua time for quite some time now. No pun intended, but you were always kind of looking for the other suitor. You were all in on the Deshaun Watson trade, giving up all of your assets to acquire Deshaun
Well,
Watson.
not all of them. But I
That was
started
2 weeks ago. No, quite a few of them. It was several first round picks. It was several second round picks, several players to get your quote unquote franchise quarterback. But now you've seen that's kind of gone a little bit sideways, a little bit of a different direction. So you kind of forced to kind of play the hand that's dealt you, i.e. Tua Tagovailoa. You've been one of his biggest bashers throughout his professional career, which is unfortunate
No.
considering
You got it.
the
You
way
got it
he
all
repped
wrong.
the 305. And fans, there is a
started
gentleman
off
down in the 305 named Steve Nelson, who is president of 305 Nation. He has a great disdain for Cameron Buford and his wishy-washy, on again, off again, philosophy with regards to the bandwagon of the Miami Dolphins. So it's kind of sad to watch him kind of go back and forth with it, but at the same time, I'm happy that the influence that I've tried to give him over the years, or with regards to getting on the Tua bandwagon, has finally kicked in. He realizes there is no alternative, so it's sink or swim.
I've been Tua all the time. I don't know what you're talking about. All Tua all the time. I wanted him to get it better. I wanted to get healthy, and we needed that quarterback. So I'm glad they drafted him with the number 5 draft pick. I'm glad they started him. I told you, week 6, I was asking for to put him in the game. Why not put him in the game? We know what Fitzpatrick's going to do. Put the kid in the game. You put him in the game, and what you see, I think he had the highest QBR for a rookie in some years when he started his game in his only his second week. So come on, man. What he did against the Arizona Cardinals, come on, man. This guy, he has intangibles. We just need him to groom himself. We need to get him some talent. Now we're gonna talk about the little talent later, Cleavon, but I got ahead of myself. I just couldn't wait to let you hear the Tua time song because I wanted you to get the feeling, get the spirit. I want the fans to get involved with the show and know this is all about Tua time. That's my man Solo D down in the South Beach. So check him up on YouTube as well. Solo D with the Miami Sounds sports music podcast that he has, or soundtrack YouTube page that he has. Cleavon, each and every week, sir, we do the numbers. This week it's March 24, 2021, week 131 of the podcast. When you think of number 24, you hear the number 24. Who's the first person to come to your mind, sir? Who wore that best, or who first come to your mind?
Cam, the number 224 has a real 206 feel to it. The first person that comes to mind is Beast Mode, Marshawn Lynch. For the last couple of weeks, I have been hearing about how Pete Carroll and the Seahawks want to get back to their identity, running the football first, being a power run team, to offset the pass.
We're going to get to them. We're going to get to them
than Marshawn Beast Mode Lynch to do that. Now,
you're not trying to resign Beast Mode, are you? You're not advocating resigning.
It's possible. I haven't seen him work out. I don't know what kind of shape he's in right now, so I can't really say that definitively yes or no, Cam. If he's ready to go, and he how Pete Carroll is,
Okay. Maybe. All right.
As far as who wore the number best, I'm gonna have to go with the kid Ken Griffey Jr. Hall of Famer. Perhaps one of the greatest center fielders to ever play the game. Again, a little bit of 206 feel to those two numbers.
Man, it's a big 206 feel, because the first guy to come to my mind is the guy who helped lead the Seattle Supersonics to their championship back in 1979, and that's Dennis Johnson. So, that's a big feel. Know the guy personally, or knew the guy personally, the late great Dennis Johnson, and he went on to win a couple more titles with the hated Celtics, but that's a story for another day. So Dennis Johnson, first guy to come to mind, and the number 31. When you think of the number 31, who wore that number best, or who comes to your mind first?
The person that comes to mind first, again, I'm gonna go with a little bit of 206. A guy from Alabama, a guy named Derek Mckee. One of the most underrated, forwards in the history of basketball.
Was he
his
underrated?
ability.
Was he underrated for real?
Oh, he was extremely underrated. Yeah, his ability before his time to defend all four positions was extraordinary. He was a little bit I don't want to say lazy, but he had a little bit of a problem getting motivated. So you didn't always get
lackadaisical,
a little
lackadaisical
lackadaisical.
effort.
You didn't always get Derek McKee's best, but when you did, it was like, well, why can't we see this all the time? So it was kind of like he would give you flashes of brilliance and then just go, into his, hide and seek mode. So again, a little 206 feel. That's the first person to come to mind. Who wore it best? I still think it's Dave Winfield, a gentleman that was drafted in all three professional sports, and his records just kind of speak for itself. So I would go with Big Dave Winfield.
So let's touch on Derek McKee for a minute. He's one of those cats who's so talented that he just doesn't look like he's working hard. Could that have been his problem? It just doesn't look like he was working hard. It doesn't look like he's giving it his all. There you see some less talented players out there huffing and puffing, sweating, and elbows moving and gyrating and everything, and it makes it look like they're giving a lot of effort. Where Derek McKee was just so silky smooth on the court and just so effortlessly doing his thing. It just didn't look like he was getting a lot of effort. Could that have been to his detriment there?
At times, I fell out of love with Derek McKee in 1993, Game 7 against the Phoenix Suns. He only scored 1 point in the whole game, played 47 minutes. That was just extremely unacceptable for me. It's like, what? Come on, man.
I mean, was it more than one? You had Detlef Strip out there shooting the Brock. I mean,
that was the trade. That was the move. After that, he got moved for Detlef.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, Hershey Hawkins was there, or Ricky Pierce was there. I mean, was he the go-to shooter though? He wasn't
I say again, a player of that talent and that magnitude only scored a point.
Okay, all right. I feel we're not gonna make this a Derek McKee show, but
we're not gonna make a Derek McKee show, but
I feel what you're saying. So when I think of number 21, you're right. Dave Winfield comes the best, but what about that man who patrolled the secondary and the Steelers secondary and back in the 70s, Donnie Shell? Like for years, the league tried to find a safety or a cornerback that was big and ferocious as Mr. Donnie Shell. So that's one of the guys who come to my mind first. After, of course, Mr. Jason Terry, you got Reggie Miller, but I think Donnie Shell probably wore that number best. Who's the most intimidating number 31 by far.
Okay.
Yeah. So we got a lot of topics. We're going to talk about NFL topics. We're going to get to the NBA here in a minute. We're going to get to the college tournament bracket. But let's start this off with the NFL free agency is hot and heavy. The Dolphins signed your guy, Will Fuller. Go ahead and tell me what you think of Will Fuller head down to the South Beach.
I am so happy and ecstatic for you guys down there, Cam. You finally got a big-time playmaker, explosive, touchdown capabilities all around. I wish him and you guys the best in that marriage. I could not be happier you have Will Fuller the fifth as one of your receivers. A target for two a time. Oh, man. What can go wrong?
Yeah. Oh, he can get hurt in week 2. That's what. He can get hurt. He can pull a hammy in week 2.
That's part of what you get with the Will Fuller the fifth project, right?
I mean, come on, man. What? All the receivers out there. That's who we got. I mean, AJ Green he's just as injury prone. All these receivers out there, they go for Will Fuller. I mean, the most inconsistent receiver. Most inconsistent, most injury prone. That's a disappointing move for when you're trying to get a quarterback to come and give his best effort and to turn around from a season where he was really challenged as a rookie, and you're trying to give him every tool for him to be successful. You go get Will Fuller. I mean, who's doing the talent evaluation down there? Like, again, that really shook. It really shook my head. And then, of course, when he has his press conference, I'm so excited to be here. I can't wait to get started, and I can't wait to get to practice. Man, I don't want you practicing a whole lot. That's one guy I don't want practicing a whole lot, man, because I already know we got about 15 routes in him. We got about 15 good routes in him, and I mean, I'm not gonna say give you what I gave you about DK. I'm not gonna say he's gonna catch 40 passes, but he might catch 50 passes this season because he's just not gonna be available. And that's what he's shown in his 4 years. I think 4 years in the career. So, so now that we in person, now we can see eye to eye.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hearing some things, but I'm thousands of miles away about the Sierra John Snyder communication. Apparently, it didn't go as good as I heard it went last week. I heard things was they kissed and made up. They swept the hate under the rug, but then there's still some things floating around in the atmosphere that Sierra wasn't entirely pleased when she walked away with the meeting with John Snyder. And then obviously Russell isn't pleased when he has to come home and deal with this. So I don't know what's going on. Pete Carroll, I saw a poll where they say fire Pete or keep Russ. I mean, tell me where you rank on that poll. Did you start that poll first of all, Mr. Cleavon? Fire Pete or keep Russ? Did you start that poll? And then tell me where you are on that poll.
No, Cam, I did not start that poll. I am one of the firm believers that the relationship can still be worked out. There were little rough patches there, as all marriages have, rough patches. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes things don't go exactly the way that you anticipated. Sometimes you want a little bit more, say and input on certain things. And, most of the time you try and keep that in-house for whatever reason. It became, public knowledge. It was kind of pulled out of Russ on the Dan Patrick show. And, he kind of caught him off guard. And, he didn't have his usual, barriers up and, just kind of let some things, let him loose, let him slide.
Oh, that's how you see it.
Yeah, that's how I see it.
He didn't have his traditional walls built up.
He didn't have his traditional wall up. He wasn't quite ready for it. And it kind of came in and sniped him. The story took on a life of its own. That's unfortunate. As you can see, some very interesting trade proposals came in. Some Monte Cristo deals. You know what I'm saying? Just the whole wheelbarrow full of gold. Do you want it? The Seattle Seahawks said no. We'll stay with our franchise quarterback, which I'm sure speaks volumes to Russ. That well, they at least see my value. And so then back to your point, the conversations with John and Sierra obviously did take a little bit of a different turn at that point. It wasn't quite so forceful, on the Sierra part. And John was willing to make some concessions. Hey, you know what? Paul Allen's sister has a separate G4 that you can use on the weekends, so you can get to your little spots and come back for game day. So that was one of the deals that's one of the side deals that was made that the other people don't really understand. But that was one of the deals in your conversations that you were hearing about.
So you're willing to finally admit, after 5 weeks of this, that there is some conversation with Sierra and John in the Seahawks brass. You're finally willing to admit that.
There may have been some conversations. What I'm not willing to admit, Cam, is what you were trying to insinuate is that it had some kind of, power struggle going on here. There's no power struggle going on here, okay? They were willing to entertain some of Sierra's issues with regards to, being geographically isolated up here in the 206. And, they came up with a solution for that. So she'll be okay.
So when you say there's a pot of gold delivered to the Pacific Northwest, come on, be honest. Chicago Bears came with some a bucket of bronze, if you will. They didn't have any gold trinkets in that bucket.
How is 3 first-round picks a bucket of bronze?
3 first-round picks. They're going to be in the 15 to 20 if they get Russell.
But they're still first-round picks.
Yeah, and we know how Seattle has done with their first round picks as of late. We know once Pete Carroll has been and John Snyder has been in the league, and they weren't recruiting these kids out of college. We know how well they've done with drafting these guys, right? We see how well they've done.
It would be an extra first round pick in addition to their own, which we all know they've been very successful in parlaying those and moving down in the draft to get other talent. So yeah.
Keep moving down. How's your offensive line looking?
Much improved these last couple of weeks. Thanks so much for asking. Signed Mr. Jackson and re-signed Ethan Posick. So yeah, we're looking okay.
So tell me what you think about this. Sam Darnold being your starting quarterback next season. Russell ending up to Chicago. Seattle getting some draft picks from the New York Jets, and Sam Darnold becoming the starter of the Seattle Seahawks. He gets hooked up with his former USC head coach, not his former head coach, but a USC head coach, and Pete Carroll. And then Sam Darnold, big, strong quarterback, and swing the ball all over the field, has a little ability to run around a little bit. What do you think about Sam Darnold throwing to DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett?
Have given it zero thought, Cam. There's no reason to entertain that type of thought process.
I mean, you might want to. I don't think it's done right there. I haven't heard that Sierra's entirely static. The G4, the borrowed plane, PJ, private jet, so she can fly to New York or Miami or Houston if need be, even Vegas if need be. I almost consider having Chris Greer call up there to Seattle and say, "Hey, we got Tua for Russell. What do you think?" But I don't really want to pay a quarterback $35 million if he's on the backside of his career. So I wouldn't have liked that. I held off and didn't make that phone call to Chris Greer. Older quarterback on the backside of his career. I mean, you still got faith in Russell?
Well, Russell Wilson hasn't missed a start. How many starts has Tua missed in his rookie season?
I mean, he missed
a question to answer out loud, huh? As we're face to face.
He had a thumb issue that we decided to sit him out. I mean, I think he could have played.
Russell Wilson's played over 100 and started over 100 games, never missed a game. How many games has Tua missed?
He had a thumb issue. That we set him down for.
So he's missed some.
He missed a game. I mean, no big deal. No sweat. A game is no big deal. Just one game. It was a couple games, but no big deal.
That's okay.
But I didn't want to make that phone call, because I think Russell might be, like I say, on the back nine, if you will, on the back nine, and I figured let him kind of play that back nine up on the turf and up there in New York, and we can go against them instead of having them on our team. I'd feel better about that.
Gotcha.
So Sam Darnold starting in the Lumens Field next season. You're not excited about that?
Will not happen.
Okay. All right. So what else we got here? We got Corey Davis going to the said biplane. That could have been Corey Davis is actually the one that kind of let some of this out the bag when they asked him, did you sign here expecting Sam Darnold to be your quarterback? He's like, well, whoever they trade for, there might be some stuff going on. Did you hear what Corey Davis had to say? It was Corey Davis and I know he left your boy Ryan bumped Tannehill in Tennessee. Did he talk to Russ on the way there? Did they meet up somewhere in the middle of the country?
Cam, Corey Davis isn't talking to anybody. You can't really take anything that Corey Davis says seriously. I mean, he's lucky to still be in the league, given the position that he was drafted in the first round, has not lived up to any of that expectation. So what the Jets are doing, again, is being the Jets. So I can't take too much into what he's saying. Not a credible source. So sorry.
Not a credible source. I mean, he's only been playing for your guy, Mr. Ryan Tannehill, for the last couple of years. Now all of a sudden, that's not a credible source.
Well, I'm sure that Ryan is actually happy for him, and happy that he has an opportunity to plug someone else into that position that can have some more productivity. Corey Davis was not a productive receiver, and I don't anticipate him being a productive receiver in New York. So, yeah, no, I got nothing to say about him.
Well, what do you got to say about these off-season moves? You guys cut Carlos Dunlap. You trade for Carlos Dunlap. The whole city was excited to get a pass rusher, and you cut him after what 8 weeks of service. You cut Josh Gordon. This is what I'm talking about your loyalty. You guys just acquire guys and then cut them. Don't pay them, cut them. You guys cut Josh Gordon. I mean, and you cut tight end Greg Olsen. You didn't like what Greg Olsen brought to the table?
Cam, you got all those things wrong. First of all, we cut Carlos Dunlap in the hopes of bringing him back to re-sign him at a reasonable amount of money. Now, whether that happens remains to be seen. Free agency is no. With regards to Josh Gordon,
like you were going to bring back Jadeveon Clowney.
No, not at all like that. Jadeveon Clowney still wanted #1 draft pick, super sack master money, and we weren't willing to do that. Carlos Dunlap understands his role, understands his lane, so eventually, he might understand and come back to the voice of reason and be a Hawk. With regards to Josh Gordon cut himself. Okay, that had nothing to do with us. We were eagerly anticipating him being ready for the playoffs last year. Oh, and then that little cup that you have to urinate in when you get in trouble that many times, it betrayed him again. So unfortunately, that's not something that the Seahawks had control.
Okay. Did they warn him? Did they warn him when the cup was coming around?
I'm sure they did, but by then it was too late, Cam, right? Once it's in the system, what are you gonna do? You can't.
There's golden seal. There's golden seal all around
the rule. You know what I'm saying?
There's golden seal floating around all over.
Yeah. Those tests are pretty extensive. They cover for quite a bit of things, and no.
Oh, okay.
So that's unfortunate the way that happened. And I'm sorry, who was that? Who was that third person? That ridiculous person that you said they were looking at?
Your guy that you guys signed, Greg Olsen. You guys.
Greg Olsen gave us all he had. He gave us all he had, and like we've said on this show for many years, football players age in dog years. And after 12 years of pounding it out with great big professional NFL players, his body just had enough. No disrespect to Greg. He did everything he could. He's a hurricane. He's going to give it all you can. But it just, it ran out. So it's unfortunate. But, we tried. We gave him, what we could. He gave us what he could. So, he retired and rode off into the sunset. And, we're starting over with Gerald Everett.
Okay, Gerald Everett, you stole one from your competition down there. What's going on in your defensive backfield? You let one of your heart and soul guys, your spirit leaders, and Shaquille Griffin, you let him go? Shaquille Griffin, excuse me.
We let the Griffin twins go, yes. Shaquille and Shaquem. No, he was not the heart and soul. He was a serviceable cornerback.
Now he was just serviceable.
Unfortunately, he was trying to fill the shoes of one Richard Sherman, which he never ever did accomplish.
Goodness. Now he was just serviceable.
And the Jacksonville Jaguars, as I have spoke to many times, were paying him like a last place team. So they needed an upgraded cornerback. So they paid him like you would pay a supreme superstar at that position because they don't have any assets. So the Seahawks were never going to give him $14 million a year. He is not worth $14 million a year.
Wow. You see how quickly you guys turn.
And so therefore, I'm not really all that unhappy to see him go.
Oh, my goodness.
At $14 million.
So this who's a Kilo Witherspoon? Who is this guy?
Oh, he's a great cornerback, Cam. He was down there with the 49ers. He was making plays left and right. And now he's going to get an opportunity to get more snaps and flourish, understand the Pete Carroll system. He's going to be a star, man. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Ethan Posek, you happy with this guy? Here we go. Chris Carson.
I don't know if happy is the word. I'm content with Ethan. He's serviceable.
Chris Carson, you just can't let him go.
Chris Carson found out what that market was really like and came back into the warmth of the embrace of the 206 and decided that, almost where the heart is. So,
8.2 is still a little high, though, for a guy who fumbles. And, a guy who can't finish the season healthy himself.
Well, that's not guaranteed, Cam. You know how these NFL contracts work. It sounds good, on paper. I'm not quite sure he'll ever get to that $8 million a season. But for the time being, until we find something that is better, I'm good with that.
Okay, man. We just went down your roster. You got 2 edge rushers, Benson Mamoya. Yeah, and Kerry Hyler. I mean, where do these guys go? Did these guys go to Renton Tech, or where's these guys from?
Oh, Hyde had 9 sacks last year? Filling in for Bosa? Oh, yeah. We're excited about that.
Oh, you're excited about that.
It's got a motor. He's ready to go. Once you get into the indoctrinating to the Pete Carroll system, you start drinking that good Puget Sound clean, crisp water, that fresh air. I mean, it just does something to you, Cam.
Yeah, like makes you want to get the hell out of town. That's what one thing it does.
Makes them want to. They come up here and they never want to leave, Cam. It's always circumstance. It's not desire.
Let's talk to Sierra about that. Let's make sure Sierra. We'll see what she had to say about that. So all these signings, which one do you like the best? The signings that you guys made, or the signings? My goodness, Utah smacking the Brooklyn Nets around. It's a 35-point game here.
What a surprise. I think the signing that I'm most happy with is Chris Carson coming back. There was a little bit of a question mark as to how they were going to handle this, not change in philosophy, but back to basics that Pete Carroll wants to do. And there was simply no running back that was going to be able to handle that type of workload and give that type of productivity. So at least Chris Carson gives you a chance to do that.
And Rashad Penny, you guys aren't suiting up Rashad Penny no more?
Of course we are, but Rashad, we're not sure how healthy he's going to be, and it's not a large body of work to really say whether he's going to be that guy or not that guy. But of course, he will get his opportunities to do so in camp. So if he takes it, he takes it. But at least we have Chris Carson to start with.
Okay, so were there some questionable signings that during this offseason that you like to question with somebody else? Either way, I tell you what, a couple of things that the Los Angeles Chargers have done. Signing Jared Cook, that was kind of questionable. 1 year for $6 million, $4.5 million guaranteed, but they got a couple of linemen. For the last 2 years, they were under the league average in rushing. Now they got the all-pro lineman from Green Bay and Corey Linsley. They got Matt Fiedler, the all-pro lineman out of Pittsburgh, which obviously Pittsburgh's been known for ground and pound. So they're going to shore up that running game, obviously shore up the line for their rookie quarterback or sophomore quarterback. So they're going to be looking pretty strong. They already got defensive talent, man. The Chargers is kind of on an uprise. Who else do you see in the league doing some good things? If we look back at the, New England Patriots, they made a lot of moves this offseason, man. Are you any of those moves that they made excite you?
None of those moves really excite me, Cam. I think that one of the moves that I was thinking of, addition by subtraction, would be the Tennessee Titans getting Bud Dupree. I thought that was kind of weird that Pittsburgh let him go. I thought that he was definitely one of the stalwarts on that defense, which was the number one defense in the league last year. So that was a little bit of a head scratcher. Adoree Jackson going to the Giants for the $13 million season. Again, a little bit of a head scratcher. And Fitzpatrick playing for the Washington football team. I mean, I know they wanted an upgrade in their passing game. He certainly gives you the opportunity to have an upgrade in the passing game, but as we say, football players age in dog years, and also he has a propensity for turning the ball over, which is not really a thing that Ron Rivera is a big fan of. So, again, another bit of a head scratcher, but we'll see how those three moves play out.
I was going to bring up Fitzpatrick going to Washington. I think that is an upgrade for what they had, a rookie quarterback who played in the playoff with the rookie quarterback, if you remember correctly. I think it was kind of shicey that they got rid of. It was good that they signed Smith and they let Alex Smith play a little bit and get healthy and then play what he could throughout the season. But then they let him go. It was like you guys kind of groomed him and brought him back to life and restored him, if you will, and then they let him go. That was kind of, I don't know. I didn't understand the move. I didn't understand that move. But he's not. Fitzpatrick is not an upgrade from Alex Smith, but he's an upgrade from the rookie that they had starting. And I was kind of at a point that go ahead, let the rookie play, because I think they played over their head last season. So you did have them in the playoffs at the beginning of the season. I thought they played over their head. And Alex Smith, I think you can expect the same performance with him right there. He'll have the team right there in contention again in the NFC East next season. So I do understand what you're saying, but that move with Bud Dupree signing with the Tennessee Titans, I thought that was a great move, obviously, for the Titans. And where the Steelers are a little strapped for cash, I mean, they just couldn't give him the 5 years, 82 that he ended up getting, $35 million guaranteed out of Tennessee. They couldn't give him that. So that's Tennessee's win right there. And cutting Adoree Jackson, he's still best known from jumping out his girlfriend's window, right?
Cam, I mean, he's had some pretty good seasons in the league. I think that he's still considered one of the top 10 cornerbacks in the league.
Top 10, really?
I would put him in the top 10.
Well, obviously, Vrabel didn't agree with you on that one. But yeah, I thought Fitzpatrick was a decent signing. We'll see what happens. They signed Lamar Miller. They got Curtis Samuel as another receiver to pair to go with your guy. Who? McLaurin? So they got another
Scoring McLaurin. Yeah.
Oh boy.
So yeah, he has some weapons to work with.
What about the Buccaneers? And so I wanted to bring this up later. I'll talk about it. Well, I'll get to it later. Do you like what the Buccaneers did?
Status quo, yeah, kind of staying pat with what they have. Yeah, you won the Super Bowl. Might as well keep the band together and see if you can do it again.
Run it back. Why don't you, huh?
Absolutely.
So what other free agents are out there? Are there some more free agents that you want to see get signed, or is there somebody you want to see the Seahawks sign?
Well, I still don't know where Jadeveon Clowney is. That's quite interesting. Have you heard any insight as to where he might end up, or is he still wanting his $20 million, or is he kind of come back down to earth with the rest of us?
You're right. I haven't heard of what did Tennessee do with them. Did they let him go? Because I thought Tennessee, he was under contract with Tennessee. No, they didn't.
I thought that was just a 1 year. I thought that was a 1 year thing, and we were going to find out where he ended up on this next season. Have not heard a thing so far.
They got Janoris Jenkins in place of Adoree Jackson. Let me see what Jadeveon's up to. Since we know Seattle, we know how they do.
He's welcome to come back. Again.
I mean, why would he want to come back? You guys traded for him. He showed his work, showed that he can compete up there. And then
the house that he was renting up here is month to month on the lease. That tenant can be out at any time. He can be right back how he was. Everything would be great.
It said that the Seahawks might be pursuing this guy.
Well, there you have it.
It says the Dolphins might be pursuing that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Jadeveon Clowney. We'll see. He getting that warm and that heat and the humidity of South Florida. Things seem to happen down there.
Oh yeah, he might return to his former greatness. Is that kind of what you're hoping for?
They need an edge presence with their scheme, and Clowney might be a good fit. So we'll see what happens out there. Carlos Dunlap. Carlos Dunlap might end up with the Colts. Malcolm Butler, where would you like to see him go?
Like same with the Hawks.
Malcolm Butler?
Sure thing. Yeah.
You got to pay somebody, though. You guys don't want to pay nobody. You guys in all these try us
Well, we're not going to give him
We'll
$14 million a
We'll
season,
try you
Cam.
out. I mean,
We're
we'll
going to
try
get
you
$14 million
out.
a season for someone that's not a top-end cornerback. I mean, if someone else is willing to do that, then, man, that is exactly what the NFL is all about. So glad that we gave you a chance to audition and show your skills, and someone else was willing to give you $14 million, so be it.
Yeah, that's what the Cats don't want to do, man. These guys is proving themselves, and you talking about let's see what you got.
The Seahawks have proven over and over again that they will pay you if you do what you say that you're capable of doing.
Well, who name one player they paid outside of Russell? Name one player they paid if he
Rich Sherman, Earl Thomas, Cam Chancellor, Bobby Wagner.
Come on. There's only one of those guys you name on your team still. Only one of them, but that's Bobby Wagner.
But they paid the other two in their second contract. They made Richard Sherman the highest paid cornerback. They made Earl Thomas the highest paid safety.
They got rid of him 2 years later. So I mean, what are you talking about?
You can't keep them forever at the top tier of their salary, man. We did what we could do.
So you pay him, he remodels, he pays him, he buys a house, he buys a block, remodels a couple houses on the block, and then here's your pink slip. You're out of town. Get out of here. I mean, come on, man.
The third contract is very difficult to do. It's very difficult to get to, and once you do, it's very difficult to get the pay that you were getting 2 contracts ago.
Okay,
it's a tough business.
Tough business. Right. That's what he says. Okay, tough business. So we're gonna keep our eye. We got another week of NFL free agency to talk to. We're gonna keep our eye on that. And next week when we come back to you guys also, that's some of the conversation. You see where Cleveland's coming from. Try to use somebody up and then get rid of them. Versus kind of taking care of the talent. That's how they do things up in Seattle. That's why Sierra's looking for her way out, because they know they're going to use up Russell, make him run around and be the most sacked quarterback again for another season. And, then by the time he's 35 years old, has a swollen knee the size of a cantaloupe every day, they're going to say, oh, Russell, we got a new quarterback. They're going to look for Tavares Jackson. We're going to try to bring him back and see what we can get out of him. That's what the Seahawks do, and think it's their scheme and their coaching staff that gets these guys playing properly. That's Seattle's model right there. That's Seattle's model right there. So you guys watch out for that.
Scheme over talent, huh? Interesting.
I mean, you got to have players, right? That's how you.
I mean, that's what I always say. So it's really interesting to hear you come on the other side of that and kind of like, wow, lean on the talent side. Interesting. Okay, gonna hold you to that, Cam.
Hold me to it. Hold me to it. So, Cleavon, let's take a minor break here, a little intermission. When we come back, we want to talk about the NBA topics. What's going on in NBA, man? There's a NBA's trade deadline is quickly approaching. There's some teams is climbing the seeding charts. Some teams are dropping the seeding charts. We're gonna have that conversation in a minute. It might get a little sensitive, guys. So get your paper towels ready, get your Kleenex ready, because it might be a little sensitive moment here from my partner over here. So, Mr. Cleavon, here we are here in 30, about 35 games in the season right now. And lo and behold, it happened. Mr. Invincible gets injured. You already had Mr. Fragility go down weeks ago. Now Mr. Invincible goes down. What are your Lakers going to do now?
The Lakers are going to endure the best way that they can. They're going to get through as best they can, given that their 2 superstars are injured. We don't really have a definitive ETA as to when they will be back. It will give the other players an opportunity to get some experience, to play without those 2, find themselves, if you will. And they'll just be stronger and better for it come playoff time. And if LeBron is able to go back-to-back this season, this might be his best performance ever. It might even be a better performance than when he went to the bubble and came out with that championship in his back pocket last season. If he were able to do it this season, my goodness, coming back from injury and having Anthony Davis go down, and having teams like the Jazz, the Clippers, the Suns, all playing at their peak performance levels. Wow, this might be LeBron's best performance ever if they win the championship this year. My goodness, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look like they're going to have enough to do it. But my gosh, if they do, Cam, if they pull this out, wow.
Cleavon.
LeBron's best performance ever.
Best performance ever. Cleavon, do you know, are you aware that the Lakers right now are 5-5 in the last 10 games? Are you aware of that? And they've only missed LeBron for 2 games. You're aware of that, right? So that would make them really what? If you just take those games away, that would make them what, 3-4 the last 8 games, 3-6.
Make them 3-5. That's fine. I mean,
Okay.
I understand that the numbers and the metrics. I believe they were in second place before LeBron got hurt. I believe they fall into 4th. That happens. You know what I'm saying? Over the course of a season, you have ebbs and flows, and obviously, again, losing 2 of the top 5 players in the league, it's going to impact your performance. So it's not something that you wish upon them. At the same time, it doesn't kill you, makes you stronger. It gives other players opportunities to step up and do some things and establish themselves as key components for the playoffs going forward when it starts in a few.
So tell me this: this season they're going to have the play-in tournament here for teams 9-10, 7-8. Will the Lakers even be in that play-in tournament? Will they even make the play-in tournament this season?
Cam, I feel supremely confident that they will be above the playoff tournament. I don't believe they're going to fall low enough to be into the playoff tournament. No, I do believe that they will maintain at least a 6th seed in the Western Conference.
The 6th seed? The 6th seed? Are you okay over there? Are you okay, Cleavon?
Yeah, I'm fantastic. Right now, they're in 4th place.
You think they're going to hold on and for the next 4 weeks they're going to play 500 basketball and maintain the spot? Are you kidding me?
They'll be okay.
Are you kidding me? Memphis is 4 games away from them, and they're at number 9. San Antonio Spurs, who got smacked around today by the Clippers, they're 3 games behind them. Okay, Golden State is on a surge, on an uprise. They're 4 games behind them. You think the Lakers is going to maintain this 4-game lead over these guys?
I do, Cam. I think they're going to maintain that lead.
Behind Alex Caruso and Markieff Morris and KCP? That's what you think.
Dennis Schroeder.
Oh, here you go. Dennis Schroeder.
You
guys are shopping.
One of the Morris twins.
You guys are shopping Montrez. You sharpen the heart and soul.
And the former heart and soul of the Los Angeles Clippers. Now one of the integral key parts of the Los Angeles Lakers.
But you got him on a trade
Montrezl Harrell. And in addition, I'm looking forward to adding a player of the caliber of an Andre Drummond or a DeMarcus Cousins going down the stretch.
I mean, you guys tried the Cousins experiment last year, didn't you? Last year, and he didn't even make the playoff team. Didn't you try that last year?
Yeah, it was last year.
He's better this year. He did a second year off his the ACL.
He's had some injury issues. We were able to kind of help him rehabilitate. He showed what we could do down there in Houston for a minute, and again, like I said, Andre Drummond as well.
Who's going to be scoring for you guys? You get Andre Drummond and DeMarcus Cousins. Who's going to be scoring for? Who's going to put the ball in the basket? Are you relying on the second-year man, Taylor Horton Tucker? Is that who's going to be your scorer?
No. The scoring's going to come from the scoring's going to come from Kuzma and Schroeder and Andre Drummond.
You ain't relying on Kuzma your whole life. The last 5 years he's been on your team, you didn't even want him on your team.
You asked the question who the Lakers going to rely on for scoring right now, while LeBron James and Anthony Davis are out, and I gave you my answer. Kyle Kuzma and Andre Drummond.
Enough losers talk. Enough losers talk. Do you know Malcolm Brogdon is on the trading blocks? The Raptors is imploding right there. They're number 6 in the East, and they're imploding right there. They're having a fire sale. Are you aware of that?
Are we at Brogdon with the Pacers? You're referring to
Brogdon with the Pacers. Toronto. Let me take that back. They're number 11 in East. Yeah, 18 and 26. They're having a fire sale over there. The Pacers at number 9. They're Brogdon in the Pacers. I don't know what's the deal with that. I know the Clippers need to go jump all over that and go get Malcolm Brogdon. They need a point guard who can dish, a point guard who can put it up a little bit, and so who can run their offense. I've been saying this for a couple of years now. The Clippers need a point guard. They need to get Malcolm Brogdon. Were you familiar with that?
No, I think the Clippers are perfectly fine with Patrick Beverly and Reggie Jackson coming off the bench. And
Beverly
what
hasn't
those
played
guys
in 4 games.
and what those guys bring to the team, that grit, that that style of just in your face. So I think that they're just fine with that. I don't know why they would need a Brogdon to take more shots away from Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. I mean, those guys need all the shots they can get, right?
No.
Nicholas Batum needs his shots as well. So I don't think bringing in a shoot happy guard like Brogdon would help them at all.
No, he's not a shoot. And see, that's where you're wrong. He's not a shoot happy point guard. He's a point guard who can put the ball in people's hands and get people in the right position. So, contrary to what you believe, he's not a pass first point guard, or he's not a shoot first point guard. He's an all around point guard who can get the team in position to really score the points. So they can use him very much so. Oladipo. I'm thinking Oladipo's a little overrated. What do you think? I mean, every year it seems like Oladipo's either on the trading blocks. He's a hot guy to get in free agency. I'm starting to think he's overrated. What's your thoughts?
Missed a lot of season last year with injuries. Hasn't really returned to the All-Star form that we saw 2 years ago. But I still think that he's quite a threat. And once he ends up in Miami, where he's supposed to be, I think definitely can help them quite possibly get back to the championship.
Miami. You want Oladipo over Duncan Robinson or Tyler Hero?
I think it would be over Dragic right now, and I think we're okay with that. Or I think they're okay with that. I don't want to claim them as my own, of course.
He's not really.
I do think that they are the prohibitive favorite to come out of the East, but that's a conversation for another time.
Oh my goodness gracious! We're gonna get to your Eastern picks in a minute, but. Are you familiar with there's a team called Brooklyn Nets? Are you familiar with those guys? Are you familiar?
I'm very familiar with them in their makeup. Yes.
Are you? So how can you possibly say Miami Heat is a favorite to come out of the East? Have you heard of Kevin Durant? Have you heard of that guy?
Have you seen him lately? Where's he been?
He's resting. He's resting for the playoffs.
When's the last time you saw him?
He's resting. I saw him today actually on the bench in the street.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's resting. Cool. Have you heard of Kyrie Irving?
I have heard of Kyrie.
He does take his sabbaticals every now and then. In fact, he's on one right now.
Couple games off right now, right?
Yeah. He decided, his birthday coming up. He needs some personal time. He needs PTO. Everybody got PTO, right? He needs Kyrie Irving takes his PTO. We can't be mad at the guy for taking his PTO, right?
Huh? Yeah, you can when you're an NBA professional player. Making $30 million a year, yeah.
He still got PTO. It's use it or lose it. It's use it or lose it. You know how that comes. Use it or lose it when it comes down to December. And
for a whole month?
I mean, again, use it or lose it.
Kind of a strange time, Cam. I mean, usually you take that kind of stuff in the summertime. But, not in the middle of the season. But, that's
meanwhile,
right?
Meanwhile, James Harden's doing the thing. James Harden keeping him afloat. I mean, James Harden is showing that he's an MVP caliber player right now. Have you not seen that?
I do, and I am so glad that you came up with that, Cam. Because it actually leads into why I think the Miami Heat are going to win the East. It's James Harden.
Oh, here you go. Are you kidding me? You saying since James Harden left the Houston Rockets, he's been the best player in basketball for the last 6, 7, 8 weeks now, and you're saying he's the problem that he's going to bring the Nets down?
So Cam, What is James Harden's kryptonite?
Oh, you gonna say the playoffs? Is that what you gonna say?
No, I'm not gonna say the playoffs.
What do you mean he wasn't?
James Harden likes to frequent a certain type of establishment.
Okay, and
where the ladies sometimes move around very erotically and gentlemen throw cash at them. Do you know where I'm going with this?
Yeah, I know exactly where you're going. I mean, I
Okay.
think he's grown out of that. He's grown out of that stage.
Oh, he's grown out of that. That's not something you grow out of, Cam, number one. Number two,
he's grown out of that
number
stage.
two, Mr. Perkins.
He already got his jersey retired.
The reason Oklahoma City didn't win the championship is because James Harden was spending too much time in the strip clubs in Miami.
Exactly my point. He's grown out of this.
And guess who they might possibly have to meet in the second round of the playoffs?
So you don't think James Harden, who's been in Oklahoma City, been in Houston of all places, where there's some of the most ballyhooed adult entertainment facilities, where he has his jersey retired in one of them. I don't know if you know that or not. He gets his chance to frequent anything in the New York, New Jersey tri-state area. You think he's going to go to Miami and lose his mind?
Yes. South Beach will be a distraction that will be too much for him. He's not strong enough to handle that kind of thing. And once they start putting that clamps on him, defensive wise, and he's going to the strip club, and Kyrie is not happy with not getting the ball enough, and KD is upset that someone else in the league has been anointed as the best player in the league. Their head cases over there, man. They can't get it all together in time.
So one thing wrong with your theory is, I don't know how much it's impacted your life, but there's something called COVID-19 that's impacted a lot of people's lives. Mm-hmm. And with that being said, I mean he's under restrictions, so he's limited in the places that he can go. He's limited in the company that he can keep in his hotel room, because unless he gets fully vaccinated, then that kind of loosens some of the restrictions. But as of now, he's limited in the off court activities that he can partake in. So that might be best for the Brooklyn Nets in this situation, that he does have some of these restrictions. So to take that argument away from you. Agree?
Yeah, I mean that's a great argument. We don't know what the circumstances are going to be, Cam, but we do know that James will find a way. We do know that.
Listen to him. Okay. So we're talking about acquisitions, free agent acquisitions. So do you really think Drummond is going to go to you guys and help you guys out with the boards, battling the boards?
Yes.
What about Marcus Gasol? The big Spaniard you guys got. You're not happy with the Spaniard all of a sudden.
He'll get healthy and we'll just have those Twin Towers, man. It'll be fantastic once everything gets going.
Okay. So Nate McMillan had coached the Hawks until they met the Clippers a couple nights ago. To eight straight games. He's 8-1 as the new head coach of the Atlanta Hawks. Nate McMillan coached these guys up to 8 straight wins and got them in the 4th place, I believe, in the Eastern Conference. Do you believe in the Hawks?
No.
5th place. He got them 5th place in the Hawks. Well, tied with Charlotte for 4th place. You no confidence in Trae Young, Rajon Rondo, Danilo Gallinari, Bogdanovich,
Clint Capella. Yeah. Clint Capella.
No. With Jason Collins?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no. You're not familiar with these cats, huh?
I'm familiar with them. The question was, do I have any confidence? And the answer is no.
Oh boy. Okay. All right. So we talked about we talked about a lot here in the NBA. The topics: free agency, acquisitions, what your Lakers are going to do. No need to talk about the Clippers now. Now they're on a 3-game winning streak.
No need to talk about them whatsoever. They will have their opportunity.
Three game win streak. Just blew out the Spurs by 30.
Nice.
So they're rolling. Terrence Mann is doing this thing. They found the energy bug since Patrick Beverly hasn't played a little bit. They found their energizing bunny in Terrence Mann to kind of do the things. And Ivica Zubac. I know you don't watch him, but I'm just telling you, Ivica Zubac is looking like Zulajuwon out here on the courts the last couple of weeks. You heard of the guy down in Houston.
Look right into the camera when you say that, Cam. Look right into the camera when you say that.
That he looks like
put your face all up in the camera. Yeah.
I mean,
own that.
Own that. Zulajuwon. You heard it from me. All right, you heard it here. You heard it here first. Voice of the fans. Ivica Zubac looking like Zulajuwon. You remember that. But did you hear what Draymond Green had to say? Did you hear what he had to say the other day? And I mean, can you name? Let me go this way. In case you hadn't heard of it. Had you heard of it?
I have not. Enlighten me.
Draymond Green said emphatically, he's the best defender ever in the NBA. The best defender ever to play in the NBA. Emphatically stated that, and then followed it up with one day what the true defender is. He can rebound. He can put himself in position to get the rebound. That ends the defensive opportunity because it gives the offense back the ball. He's aggressive enough. He's smart enough. He's wise enough. Called himself the best defender ever to play in the NBA. Can you name? And my question to you, Mr. Cleavon, and can you name 3 guys better defenders than Draymond Green?
All time we're talking about?
All time. He said all time. He didn't say this season. He didn't say his career.
I would say
Bill
Russell.
In his time frame.
I would say Gary Payton. I would say Michael Jordan. I would say Scottie Pippen. I would say Dennis Rodman are all better defenders than Draymond Green.
So what the hell is Draymond talking about? I mean, had he watched basketball before he played for Michigan State?
He's only been watching it since he came into the league, apparently, and that's why he has that opinion of himself.
Well, I mean, I just thought that was blasphemy. I thought that was absolutely ridiculous. Is this something or nothing? That the Toronto Raptors game tonight, they had their first all-women's broadcast. Is that something or nothing? They had the directors in the studio. They had the women calling the game, play-by-play, doing color commentary. Obviously, the women on the sideline. Was this something or nothing?
You always want to say it's something when it's a historic event like that. That's never been done before, and you kind of see the progress that women have made within the industry. So I would definitely say it is something.
Okay, I mean, you want to say it's something. I agree with you in that position, but then we had the All Black Men's cast earlier this year, right? All Black men doing the same thing, right? I thought that's something shamelessly we're admitting that there's trying to pat ourselves on the back for this accomplishment when it's kind of far overdue, right? I think that's kind of far overdue or long overdue. And I get the same feel with this one here. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I definitely understand your point that you were kind of rewarding something that should have happened quite some time ago. So why are we making such a big deal about it? But at the same time, it hasn't happened. So you do have to acknowledge it and give it its due.
Okay. All right. So we say it's a good thing that has happened. So Cleavon, before we move on, let's talk about your supremacy rankings in the NBA. And I mean, we can go Eastern Conference first. You have your supremacy rankings. You have the Sixers. I mean, I don't know. So I guess you don't look at recent history, right? You don't look at what's been occurring recently. Because you got the Sixers.
What's been occurring recently is that the Sixers have been able to tread water and remain in first place without the MVP of the league on the roster.
So without the MVP, you still have not playing for the last week. You still have them number one in the West or East.
They've still been able to maintain the number one seeding in the Eastern Conference without the MVP of the league. So
okay.
Yes.
So who do you go? Run down your top 5 for the people. I can't even endure this.
Certainly, you have your Philadelphia 76ers at number 1. You have your Brooklyn Nets at number 2. You have your Milwaukee Bucks at number 3. You have your Miami Heat at number 4, and you have your New York Knicks at number 5.
The Miami Heat, that's one pick I agree. You have them higher. I have them at number 5. You have them at number 4. Why do you have them at number 4?
They're starting to get healthy and they're starting to come together, and it's starting to get to be playoff time, and they realize that the biggest threat to them right now is the Brooklyn Nets, and I think that they feel that they play good enough defense to take them out. So
You feel that they play good enough defense to take out 3 All Pros. Oh, by the way, did you hear JJ Redick is on the way to Brooklyn?
now that might be a problem. If they get a shooter like JJ Redick and they're just stacking their team from top to bottom like that, what are they trying to bring the Clippers East Coast? Is that what's going on here? JJ Redick, DeAndre Jordan, and Blake Griffin trying to do what they couldn't do in LA and in Brooklyn to go along with Kyrie, KD, and Harden. I mean, yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of stopping. But again, that remains to be seen if that's actually going to happen. If that actually happens, it will be a problem.
You don't think Josh Harris is already an issue with those guys? The best
Joe Harris is an issue. I mean, he's getting wide open shots, and yeah, but I mean, again, you have the 3 head cases. They're all going to the playoffs together. You have Steve Nash and Mike D'Antoni on the bench calling the plays. I'm not all that overly concerned, to be quite honest with
you. You're just hating. So, but you got him at number 2. You got him at number 2 for some reason because you see that threat there. You see that potential for danger right there. You got him at number 2 for some reason.
Oh, without question, there's a potential to burn down the entire forest, Cam. They have that capability. I just don't think they'll put it all together. That's all. Is the talent there? No. Absolutely, 100%. They are the most talented team in the NBA. Will they put it all together and win the championship? I don't think so.
Okay, you got the Knicks. Interesting. You got the Knicks at number 5 right now. They've been playing well. They're on a roll to run. I had the Hawks at number 4. I put the Heat at number 5. So the Knicks weren't able to get into my top 5. I have the Nets who will win their 2021 NBA champions. Book it. I told you that months ago. You can book that. I have the 76ers number 2, even though they do have the best record right now. We get a chance to see Philly live this weekend. I have I have the Milwaukee Bucks, who I just don't have any faith in. I have no confidence in. I kind of see them as I saw the Toronto Raptors a couple of years ago, how they've had the number 1 record a few years in a row, and they just can't get over the hurdle right there. And that's what I see out of the Milwaukee Bucks. The Atlanta Hawks with Nate McMillan. Again, up until he faced the vaunted Clippers the other night, they were on an 8-game winning streak, and he turned that ship around. So the Hawks do have a lot of talent. Before the season started, I predicted they would be in the playoffs, and they're not that far away right now. I think they're number 6, if I remember correctly. So they're playing good basketball. Number 5 as it states. They're number 5 right now. So they're playing good enough basketball to get in the playoffs, and we'll see how things hold off for the next 5 or 6 weeks here. You want to talk about your teams in the West?
Number 1 would be the Utah Jazz. Number 2 would be the Los Angeles Clippers. Number 3 would be the Phoenix Suns. Number 4 would be the Los Angeles Lakers. Number 5 would be the Denver Nuggets.
Well, so you just changed this up on me because you had the list you sent me, you had the Trailblazers at number 4 and you had the Lakers at number 5. Which did I get that wrong?
You know, that was before I was kind of really assessing where the Lakers were at. And I think I kind of changed that up. You're right. That is the original list that I sent you. But I just the way you were talking about the Lakers and what they weren't going to be able to do and how you had basically admonish them from the top tier to all the way into the playoff series,
Play-in
it did kind of make me come back a little bit and say,
the play-in tournament. That's what they're going to be in. Yes, the play-in tournament.
Exactly. And I think that once you kind of went that direction with it, it kind of made me kind of come back like, hold on. The Los Angeles Lakers are going to be at least 4, if not. Yeah, at least
4.
At least 4. And again,
what gives you so much confidence
that as it starts to all kind of come together, the Denver Nuggets are going to be around. I mean, they were in the Western Conference Finals last year for a reason, and they're going to be. They're going to be around.
You don't have them on your top 5. You don't have them in your top 5. So you think
I did have Portland. I did have Portland for a minute. I thought, and then as we're doing the show, on the fly, Cam, I had to reevaluate, recalibrate.
Okay.
And as I'm thinking about it, I definitely think that the Denver Nuggets are a top 5 team in the Western Conference.
It's weird you say that. I mean, you're doing all these adjustments. You gave me your list like 15 minutes ago, and all of a sudden you want to adjust.
That was before you started with all your blasphemous statements, Cam, and which kind of led me to recalibrate how I was thinking and assessing these things. And just listening to your nonsense, it kind of made me snap out of it a little bit.
Okay, so we're going to do something. We're going to do something right now. We already have a dinner on the line. We have the Daniel steak dinner on the line, right? That's clearly established.
Yes, and I just came from Daniel's, and let me tell you, you're in trouble, my friend. You better bring the black card. I just came from there, and my goodness, how things have changed since COVID. You better bring the black card.
COVID, the availability has shot the prices up, huh?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, that's all good. That's all good. So we got that bet on the table. I mean, we're gonna have to bet a 6-pack, man. Bet a 6-pack of some soju, some Vietnamese liquor, or something, man. Because these comments, we're just gonna have to keep a running tally of the bets and the ridiculous statements that you make.
Oh my gosh,
in the season, we're gonna have to keep.
We're gonna get a big whiteboard to kind of show the fans exactly what is on the table at all times. Yeah. That's got to be the next step in the evolution of the voice of the fans.
Okay. So it's all said and done. All said and done. Give me 2 weeks. We're gonna have a little ticker at the bottom of the podcast.
Oh please!
Saying,
please
Cleavon owes.
Get that.
What Cleavon owes?
I was just saying the whiteboard, so you can just turn and just look and see where we are with things. But the ticker would just be up. That would be the icing on the cake.
Because when I get your picks, and when I get your picks at 8:00, and then
you can start the GoFundMe, so you can have enough resources to actually take care of all of these things that you end up having to pay.
Yeah. Okay. Looking back at the picks in the Western Conference, I had the Utah Jazz, Phoenix Suns number 2, the Clippers at number 3. I had the Portland Trailblazers squeezing in that top 4 team in the West, and then followed behind the Denver Nuggets. Who you all this blasphemy about the Denver, all this bluster you're giving me about the Denver Nuggets. You don't even have them on your top 5, and I just find that kind of curious. Like
I brought them back into number 5 just now, Cam.
Okay, I'm just going by what you got me. What you gave me, what's on paper right here.
That's true.
And
Those are 2 different things, and I could see, they are contradictory. So I could see how you were somewhat confused. But as we're doing the show, I brought it back in.
Okay,
Denver at 5.
So I can just talk to you a little bit, and then you change your mind. You go.
Not necessarily. Sometimes your derogatory comments do get under my skin, and it does cause me to flip a little bit. It doesn't cause me to waver or wane. We're talking about, top 5 rankings in the middle of the season in the Western Conference. I mean, I'm doing the best I can. It's a very fluid situation, Cam. I mean, 2 twisted ankles and things can change dramatically. You understand that, right?
Yeah. We see how a high ankle sprain can take you guys from number 3 in the West to the play-in tournament. I mean,
I know you would love to see that. It's not going to happen.
I'm just telling you what's going to happen.
No,
That's all.
and I'm just saying, I
not.
know that you would love to see that in the same way that I want to see your Clippers in the second round.
Oh my goodness, you guys got a lot of work to do. I mean, my guys
And
are.
let me tell you. Oh, actually, you know what? I'm going to say that. I'm not even going to drop that tidbit. I'm going to wait till a week left in the season to drop that tidbit.
Let me tell you this.
Spoiler alert, fans! First round upset.
Listen to him. Let me tell you this, fans. In the next
First
week,
round.
when their fans loud in the building, Cleavon's not going to be anywhere around. I'll tell you that, because it's going to be so ruckus down there in Staples Center when the Clippers show up that he's not going to want to be around. That's about all I can say about that one. Fans, let's take a little break here. When we come back, we're going to talk about this week in history. This is a segment of the show where we kind of give you some history lessons, and we talk about some things that's transpired over time in our country, for us, about us, and then with us. So we're going to talk about that. Then we're going to get into a couple random topics that we have. Cleavon, I want to talk about the best teammate ever. The best teammate ever. You'll be surprised who this might be. But the best teammate ever. We're going to get into that topics, and then we're going to also reveal our brackets for the people and kind of give an update on our tournament brackets that we picked from last week. So the best teammate ever. We're going to get into that conversation. So let's take a little quick break right here. Mr. Cleavon.
Yes, sir.
First time live on TV, man. How you feel?
Feel fantastic. It's a different feel, but I'm slowly getting used to it, and it's a lot of fun to do. So appreciate the new format.
Well, I'm glad. Appreciate your participation, sir. And don't take these whoopings personal, man. We've been doing this a lot of years, and I know, as you already admit, I get under your skin and kind of ruffle your feathers and get the hairs on your neck standing up. But don't take it personal, man. It's all sports, man. We're having a little fun, and we're bringing knowledge to the voice of the fans. Okay, so please don't take this.
And that's
personal.
one of the reasons that I am excited for this new platform, because we will have the visual evidence to kind of see what it is that we're saying, and hold people, you most notably, accountable for what it is that you're saying. So that will be fantastic. We'll just put it right up in front of the face, so everyone can see what's really going on. So it'll be great. Those comments that you kind of tongue in cheek kind of got away with, in years past, not so much anymore. Just gonna write it down on the board, and we'll just get to it.
The ticker's already in action, man. It's already in the works. It's already in the works.
Cannot wait.
Did we touch on LeBron becoming part owner? Him and Maverick Carter being part owner of the Red Sox. Did we touch on that?
Did not. Don't really need to touch on that. LeBron's rich. He's trying to diversify his portfolio. That's fantastic. I'm not a big Red Sox fan and don't really understand the motivation behind it, other than to be ownership in a sports franchise, which as an African American is a great accomplishment. So I think that's enough to kind of say about that and kind of move on.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, kudos to LeBron. Kudos to your guy and Maverick Carter out there doing different things. And that's a hell of diversification of your portfolio. You get ownership of the Red Sox. And it's not really the ownership partnership with the Red Sox. It's partnered with the Fenway Sports Group, who owns a couple of different teams, all soccer teams. So I'm not sure how that works, because I thought he was part owner of a soccer team over there in Europe already. And then they have part ownership. And then they have part ownership. Now he has part ownership with the Fenway Group, who has another team as well. So does he own two teams out there? Like I don't know.
Seems like it would be a conflict of interest in some sort. But again, LeBron is a wealthy man with a very diverse portfolio. Can't really say exactly how all that works. However, I am happy that he's able to kind of get his foot in the door over there.
Yeah. Okay. The best teammate ever. Any idea who this could be?
In any sport?
Well, yeah, any sport.
I would say the best teammate was probably Scottie Pippen.
That's a good way. A good player, just kind of never want the limelight. Kind of played the back all the time, and
always understood that he was 1B to Jordan's 1A and relished and accepted that role as Jordan's henchman to the utmost. Could not have been done any better.
So I've been, and you know me, longtime Miami Dolphin fan. I've been reluctant to call this particular player the GOAT of all GOATs, as many people are stating from after the Super Bowl win this past season. But the guy goes from New England, where he's won 6 championships, 6 Super Bowls. Go to Tampa Bay in his first year, he wins another Super Bowl. After the Super Bowl, instead of demanding and commanding, he gets paid top-notch salary, millions and millions of dollars, which are $35-40 million after winning the Super Bowl. He said, you know what, guys? My wife got dough. How about we restructure my contract so I can take less money and we can sign some of these other players around here and get them paid, get them fat and happy. So not only does he bring a championship to the team, to the squad, he's now putting money in the pockets of these guys playing the game. So to obviously aid him in winning another Super Bowl, I mean, that has to be the best teammate ever.
And I see where you're going with that, Cam. And I absolutely, now that you mention it, would have to agree with that. It's unfortunate that your aforementioned Sierra is not that same dual income household that Tom Brady comes from. So unfortunately, Russell Wilson is not able to give back money like that because he is the primary breadwinner. And so he can't get those other pieces that he needs in the way that Tom can. Tom can just say, hey, you know what? Instead of taking the 35, I'm just going to take 22, you guys. Use that other 13 to do other things because Giselle makes actually more money than me. I'm actually not the primary breadwinner in this household. And, I can take some sacrifices on my end. Whereas Russell Wilson is really not in that position. I think Sierra is, I think she's getting $10,000 per music award appearance. That's not really gonna cut it. So
yeah.
From that perspective, I think you're right. Tom Brady could be the ultimate teammate, but he is also in a position to do so, which a lot of other people are not.
Well, a lot of people are not, obviously. See, and you brought up Sierra. I wasn't talking about Sierra.
No, you were talking about Tom Brady being so generous and taking a pay cut to then move around the organization because he's in a position to do so. And all I was saying is that it's unfortunate Russell Wilson isn't in a position to do that because he is the primary breadwinner. And
but he is. But he is. He is.
Excuse me?
He is. If Sierra wasn't stuck in the Northwest and she was in, say, had the residency in Las Vegas, she can make a few more bucks a year and afford Russell to take a little pay cut. If
I'm
Sierra,
sorry. So are you comparing Sierra's earning potential in Vegas playing down there at the Sands to what Giselle can do? Is that where you were trying to go with that?
This is if Russ was in New York and Sierra was also in New York. Now they're on the same.
It would just be more
expensive.
Now she would be making about the same amount of money. That's all.
Now they're on par with that earning potential. That earning potential significantly increases in these big cities, in these big markets.
Russ playing in a different city does not increase Sierra's earning potential by any stretch of the imagination. And even if it did, the slightest little bit, it is nothing in comparison to what Giselle makes.
I wasn't really trying to compare it to what Giselle makes. The earning potential, though, for Sierra.
We're not even trying to compare what Tom Brady makes to what Giselle makes. So, hell no, we're not trying to compare what Sierra can make to what Giselle can make. A 7-time Super Bowl champion doesn't even make as much money as her. So,
no. If the residency down there at
Cam,
in Las Vegas.
Cam, we're on air. See, this is when you start to lose people.
Looks
a little different when you're face to face trying to compel this kind of argument.
I believe there are more people that agree with me. If she was in New York, there's a lot more eyes and ears paying attention to what she's doing in New York when she has when she has a spring concert or when she has a winter concert.
Sierra's mom and her 2 kids are the only ones that care about her career at this point.
Oh wow! Now look at you turn on your guy's wife. You just shoot.
I didn't turn on her. I'm just saying her going to Las Vegas is not going to create any more record sales. A few more people might come to the show, and that's if Russell Wilson's in the audience.
Oh my goodness gracious! Oh, so her career is done. Is what you're essentially saying? Her career is done.
For all intents and purposes, yeah.
That's what you're saying. The book is closed. Sierra's book is closed. Is what you're telling. That's what you're telling.
She can still try and resurrect that, but I mean, I don't think a bunch of people are going to come out to watch her sing goodies all the time. No.
Wow.
I just don't feel it like that.
You don't think her milkshake ain't bringing no boys to the yard no more, huh?
No, afraid not, man.
Wow. So sorry. Well, okay. If you say it like that, that's interesting. You just taking shots at your quarterback's wife. And see, this is the problem.
I'm not taking shots at her.
This is why they want out of Seattle. This is the exact reason they want out of Seattle. Because all the 12s have the same mindset that there's nothing that can be done here. Sierra, you're washed up. Sierra wants some attention. You guys are telling Sierra you're washed up. When she clearly get to strut on in South Beach watching the Super Bowl, sitting in the walking from the field to the press box with Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL, she hears all the whistles. She hears all the cat calls as she's walking up the steps, walking up the escalator. She gets to the Northwest. They're like, put a coat on. You're done. You're washed up. They don't even know her latest record up in the Northwest. That's why the hell she wants to get out of there. See, this is you.
And neither do you, Cam.
And
neither does anybody out there.
You and the fans.
And nobody cares.
The 12s are shitting on Sierra. That's why she wants out. That's why she's having these weekly conversations with John Snyder. And either we get more money, more recognition, we get used to that G4, that PJ, or we want the hell out of town. Because just right there, you broke it down. You broke it down like that.
Yeah.
You broke it down. So I don't have to make this argument anymore. You yourself clarified what you guys think of Sierra. You did that. Interesting.
Not Sierra as a person.
That's interesting.
Sierra as a musical entity. You're getting it all twisted around like we don't like Sierra. No, she's a great gal.
She's a great gal.
She's a good mom. She's a good ambassador. And all that good stuff.
Wow.
But don't get on stage. Her perform,
if she's at the show where you're not going. According to you, she can't sell out the show where in Tacoma.
If she's at the show where in Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals is on, guess where I'm at?
Oh my goodness. You see what I'm saying? You see the love that Sierra gets in the Northwest. And that I want to get the hell out of there myself. If that's the love I'm getting, I want to get the hell out of town myself.
Sorry.
I'm glad you pointed that out. I'm glad the fans can see you in the Northwest with the same thoughts and mindset. I'm glad. Fans, I have to say no more. This is the Voice of the Fans podcast. This is my man Cleavon from the Northwest talking exactly what the fans of Seattle think of Sierra. He wouldn't go to the show where
as a performer, not as a person. Let's make that distinction.
Oh, if she's at a book sale, you're gonna go to the show where to get her book signed? You're gonna go see the book? You're not going to do that.
I would go and read Sierra's book before I would go and watch her performance.
Oh, ain't that something? And I'm telling you, you got a problem. You got a problem because the whole world saw her strut from the 50-yard line to the locker room, and then all the way up to the Roger Goodell suite. And she heard everything she wanted to hear on that march. She's like, wow, this doesn't happen in the Northwest. This doesn't happen in the Northwest. You just let us know.
What does happen in the Northwest? Her husband makes $35 million a year and has a chance to play for Super Bowls.
Well, if he gave up $1,
got to make a little bit of a sacrifice. That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. Well, I didn't expect this turn of events, fans, but I don't have to make this argument no more. My man, he just made the argument for me. Cleavon, let's talk about this Pac-12 dominating the NCAA tournament. Did you expect this?
Not at all. And as you know, I'm a Pac-12 guy. That I did not see that coming.
I'm showing my age. Pac-10.
They had kind of a short season, and no team really separated themselves during the season. So yeah, that was quite a bit a surprise to get into the tournament and have done as well as they have so far.
Interesting. So Cleavon, let's take a look at our bracket. You know, we kind of started the bracket last week. Let's go ahead and pull this bracket up. I'm sorry you're not going to be able to see it this week, but let me tell you what this bracket looks like. You got me right. So as of right now, let me go back. As of right now, there's how many people playing in this bracket? 24 people playing. Interesting. DeMario he's playing 3 times. He's playing 3 times. So 24 people playing. You want to guess what our position is right now, Cleveland?
We're about I'm gonna say 9, Cam.
9. You're selling yourself short. You're selling yourself real short, man. You know who's a controller of this bracket? I am. You know where we are right now? We're number 4, Cleavon. We're number 4
I like it.
24. We're
I
number
like
20. And let me tell you here, let me get a good look at the bracket itself. Well, I just wanted to let you know where we are. We're number 4. So we had Oklahoma, we got upset. Mizzou ended up beating those guys. But we have Gonzaga going all the way to the tournament. So no loss there. I had Oregon over that's USC, USCB. I had USCB, University of Santa Barbara, over Creighton. Creighton ended up beating them, but they lost. I had UVA over Ohio. Ohio went and lost. So it's still Gonzaga. Gonzaga's on to both of those guys. I had Gonzaga playing. Who did I have? USC and Kansas. I had both of those guys winning. I had Kansas over USC, but obviously USC pulled that out. I had Kansas over USC. USC pulled that out. Kansas is Oregon is playing. We got Oregon in that matchup. Michigan, LSU. We had that pick. Michigan plays LSU on Sunday, so we got who we have, or Michigan plays FSU. Excuse me, Sunday. We got FSU in that matchup. I got Michigan losing to FSU on Sunday. We had Georgetown beating Colorado. Colorado beat Georgetown, obviously. But FSU beat who is this, number 13? NC Greenville. FSU moved on, so we got FSU playing FSU against Michigan. We got FSU. BYU looks like I had BYU beating UCLA. UCLA is kind of on a roll right now, right? They're looking pretty good. We did have number 14 Abilene Christian beating Texas. We did have that one though. And so they ended up getting smoked by UCLA. So UCLA moved on. We had Bama, UCLA playing Bama. We got Bama in that matchup. Bama beat Maryland. Bama beat Iona, right? So we got that matchup. So coming up on Sunday, we got Bama over BYU. Just keep that in mind. We got FSU over Michigan. We have Oregon over Kansas because I had Kansas losing. I had Kansas beating USC. They lost. So I have Oregon over USC. Excuse me. I think USC is going to beat them guys though. Now looking back at it, we had Gonzaga going all the way to the Final Four. That's on one side of the bracket. I had Houston beating Cleveland State. Had Houston beating Rutgers, but Rutgers didn't beat. I had too, but Houston lost. Looks like West Virginia lost. Syracuse beat them. I had Syracuse winning one game. I had them West Virginia beating Syracuse, but Syracuse beat West Virginia, obviously. So Saturday that matchup, Houston versus Houston, really nobody won. So Oklahoma State, I had Oklahoma State and West Virginia moving on in that bracket, but we're out of that bracket essentially. Illinois lost. I did have Illinois losing. I had Illinois losing to Oklahoma State. So either way it goes, we're not winning that bracket. We're only good. We can only have 3 of the 4 Final Four teams because that bracket we lost big in that bracket. Baylor, I had Baylor over Hartford, Baylor over Wisconsin, Baylor over Nova. Nova on Sunday. Baylor plays Villanova. The only thing we lost there is Purdue beat North Texas. North Texas beat Purdue. So North Texas moved on, but North Texas also lost to Villanova. So we're good. Villanova, Baylor, we're going for Villanova in that game. And the final little bracket here is Arkansas. Who you have here? I had what is this? The Cinderella team. Oral Roberts. I had Oral Roberts losing in the first, and they're losing to Ohio State. They clearly beat Ohio State. I had them losing to, so I had Ohio State moved on, but they won. I had Florida beating. Well, Vatek beat. I had Vatek beating Florida. Florida won that game, so that's a wash. So Saturday, Arkansas plays Oral Roberts. We're rooting for Arkansas in terms of our bracket. I had Arkansas beating Colgate. I had Arkansas beating Texas Tech. So Arkansas is alive. So Arkansas in Villanova is part of that bracket there. So we in the South bracket, we're still alive in the South bracket, the West bracket, the East bracket, the Midwest bracket. We're essentially out. We can't have any team alive. So you got that. So we're still alive, man. We're still alive in a couple in these 3 of the 4 brackets. And again, we're ranked number 4 as of this moment in out of 24 actually. So it's not bad. Not bad. Good money spent right there. Not bad at just taking a whiff at it because I didn't watch a lick of college basketball all season, but we got some things right. Again, this is Voice of the Fans podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in to our first live show. Cleavon, thank you for participating in the first live show. Pretty cool. This will be aired on YouTube. You can find this Hoops and Brews. Shout out to the guys at Hoops and Brews for doing their thing, setting us up. And this show will be aired live on Hoops and Brews tomorrow. Cleavon, thank you for your participation as always. Once again, let the people know where they can find you, Cleavon.
Absolutely, Cam, at Cleavy Wonder on Twitter and at Cleavon Steel on Instagram.
And I'm your man, Cam. You can find me, Voice of the Fans, on YouTube is where you could be viewing this show right now. You can hear the Voice of the Fans podcast on Spotify, tuned in, Anchor Radio, iHeartRadio, just about any podcast platform that you listen to the podcast. This will be ripped and you can hear it by Saturday. You can find me on Voice of the Fans on Instagram. What's Good in Sport, the letter N, Sport singular, on Twitter. Man, shoot me a tweet. Hit me up on Instagram. Tell me what you think about the show, whether you like the show, you don't like the show. Any feedback is good feedback. We appreciate it. Cleavon, before we let you go, man, I want to hit the people with this quote here. Most people never run far enough on the first win to find out they've got a second win. Philosopher William James. Most people, Cleavon, never run far enough on their first win to find out that they've got a second. Don't give up. That's essentially what they're saying. With TNT guys on the show, what they joke about on the show, run through the tape. Keep running, keep working at it, keep working at it. Things is gonna break through, things is gonna come. Don't give up. Don't give up when something immediately doesn't work. That's kind of what that quote's telling me. So I hope you guys appreciate the show. We always try to give you a little history lesson each and every week. We didn't talk about the thing this week in history, man. So before we close out the show, let's go back to this week in history. Thomas Martin awarded a patent for a fire extinguisher back in 1872. Do you know about that? 1872.
I did not.
Cleavon. In 1799, New York State abolished slavery. In 1799, New York State finally abolished slavery. In 1937, William Hastie became the first black federal judge. He was appointed as the first black federal judge, William Hastie, back in 1937. And then 1973, Nate Tiny Archibald became the first player in NBA history to lead the league in scoring at 34 points a game and assists at 11.4 a game in the same season. Now, somebody just did that recently. Pretty amazing. But Nate Archibald did that, 48 years ago? So pretty impressive, man. So as always, Cleavon, we try to give you a little history lesson. Try to give you something to think about as we close out the show. As the quote from William James, once again, I'll read it for you guys. Most people never run far enough on their first win to find out they've got a second. So keep that in mind as you guys roll through the week. This is the Voice of the Fan podcast. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Cleavon, I want to thank you for being a part of the show. And as always, I want to thank you guys for making our voice your choice. Thanks, Cleavon. I'll holler at you soon.
My pleasure, bro. Can't wait to talk next week.
Later.